Oh, guys, my New Year's resolution for fantasy is just start betting on the most talented rookies and stop getting so tied up in draft position. And naturally, yes, it does matter where a guy is drafted because often that brings the most opportunity. But think about how many weeks we spent talking about all these different running backs. And then during the playoffs and championship weekend, who's one of the rookie running backs we're talking about with the highest upside? It's Kyle Monangai, who was the 23rd running back taken in his draft. Or all the weeks we talk about Matthew Golden, who was a first-round pick to the Panthers and to the Packers. And then you look at all the receivers that were taken after him that produced, both guys on the Texans, and on it goes. Luther Burden has been phenomenal down the stretch for the Bears. And it's just so easy sometimes, guys, to get wrapped up into where players went. And then you go, oh, this guy was a really, really good college player that was slightly overlooked by the NFL. Then you get to the end of the fantasy season, and he's the best stash you could have asked for.
Yeah, no, I like it, Connor. My resolution is that I'm not going to draft running backs who are coming off massive workloads, particularly when they're older and pushing 30. And Saquon Barkley is obviously the poster child for this. I think coming into this year, that it was easy to think like, all right, well, it's just the same offense. Like, it's the same guys. It's the same offensive line. It's still Jalen Hurts. It's still Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown giving him space on the outside with the threat of the passing game. And he's still Saquon Barkley, and he's older, but he's not that old. And I think that just the hidden stuff of just accumulating so many carries just adds a lot of wear and tear. And wear and tear is largely undefeated unless you are Derrick Henry, who is the one exception to this, and he does not apply for this rule. But I think that, next year, guys like McCaffrey, I think Matthews correctly got, more of the 7 range as opposed to the 1 or 2 range because he's turning 30 and he's going to be coming off leading the NFL in touches. So, yeah, I would just be wary, particularly of older running backs coming off massive workloads.
Yeah, for me, we've gone back and forth on this issue, just the fantasy industry as a whole about quarterbacks. But, my New Year's resolution is that quarterbacks don't really matter. And this is what I mean by this, right? So first off is that I'm going to wait on quarterbacks in terms of draft, right? So you've got your guys at the top that I don't think changes all that much. You've got your Josh Allens, your Lamar Jacksons, your Jalen Hurts, your Jaden Daniels, your Joe Burrows, your Jalen Hurts, right? But then you add some of the guys that have just sort of emerged this year, right? Think about Drake May. Think about Trevor Lawrence. Think about the kind of year that Dak Prescott had. Think about Caleb Williams and how he uses his legs. Jackson Dart, I think, is a top 10 guy, right? And so on and on, it sort of goes there. And, we got production out of Sam Darnold. Tyler Shuck we're talking about, who's been like kind of a top 10 guy down the road, down the stretch as well. And so, Malik Willis we've talked about, like when he's a starter next year. So I think that there's so much depth at the position and that you don't need to, whereas we thought earlier on that the guys at the top gave you so much of an advantage, it's not the case anymore. I feel like almost every running back, every quarterback either runs or they pass heavily enough that you can draft them. The other thing I'll just say is when I say quarterbacks don't matter, think about Jackson Smith and Jigba dropped too far in drafts because people were worried about Sam Darnold. Chris Olave because people were worried about that situation. Tyler Warren because people were worried about Richardson or Jones. I get it that Justin Jefferson was brutal with J.J. McCarthy, but he's the exception that proves the rule. Generally speaking, good players produce regardless if their quarterback is, quote, good or not. So
Jonathan Medici said, my 2026 resolution is to pound 30 Diet Cokes a day and become a fantasy foot genius.
Smart.
Maybe he meant football?
Well, he's going with the French word to describe football, le foot. So, yeah, well done for Le Medici.
Nice job, Medici.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotorworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.